Hi, welcome to a video on the standard form of parabola part 3, completing the square. Complete the square. We did this earlier when we solved quadratics by completing the square, but we're going to also need this when we wanted to write an equation in vertex form. So let's do some examples. Complete the square. Remember that we had an equation x squared plus bx plus c, and if this is going to be a perfect square trinomial, then c was equal to b divided by 2 squared. So that's what we're going to do. If this is a perfect square trinomial, then c would be a half of b squared, and then the factorization would be done by what we're doing here. So let me explain now. So we're going to take b is 6 divided by 2 and squared. So that's a 3 squared, which is 9. So to complete the square, we put a 9. And when we factor that, the factorization is x plus 3 squared. The factorization would be whatever b is, so the factorization would be x plus b over 2 squared. So b over 2 is a 3, so that's x plus 3 squared. In this one we have a 2 that we have outside. We have to remove the 2 first by factoring. So 2 into 2x squared is x squared, 2 into 4 is 2. So now we have the 2 taken out because we need a 1 coefficient. So now we take 2 and divide it by 2 and squared. So 1 squared is 1. So that's a plus 1 there. And that's the perfect square trinomial. And the factorization of this trinomial is an x. And the half of this number is a plus 1, which is the number right here. So 2 times x plus 1 all squared is how we complete the square to get ready to do the vertex form. C, we take a negative 3 out, again because we want x squared to have a 1, so that's x squared plus 4x. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is plus 4. And so that's a 4 divided by 2 squared. 2 squared gives me a 4. So that's x squared plus 4x plus 4. There's your perfect square trinomial, and the factorization is a half of plus 4 is a plus 2 all squared. So that number 2 there, right there before you squared it, is the number that goes here, or the number that goes here. Because you complete the square, the number right here is a half of whatever this is. And we have a half of 5, so we take the half out by the GCF. So a half divided by a half is x squared. Now 5 divided by a half is the same as 5 times 2 over 1, which is 10. So when we take a half out, when we take a 5 divided by half, we get a 10, because a half of 10 is 5. Now we have to take the 10 and divide it by 2 and square it. So it's 5 squared is 25. So that's x squared plus 10x plus 25. Perfect square trinomial. Factorization is an x. A half of plus 10 is a plus 5, and we squared. E, we have a negative 5 that we have to remove by GCF. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 is x squared. Negative 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6. And so negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 squared is 9. So this is a x squared minus 6x plus 9. That's the number we add to make it a perfect square trinomial. The factorization is an x. And a half of negative 6 is a negative 3. So x minus 3 squared will give you that trinomial. So just practice on completing the square. And more practice. Express as, again, more practice. So x squared minus 10x, negative 10 divided by 2 squared, negative 5 squared, 25. So that's a 25 to complete the square. And the factorization, x squared is an x, half of negative 10 is a negative 5. So this binomial squared will give me that trinomial. We take the 4 out, x squared plus 2x, done. We divide 4. 4 is a GCF because we need a 1x squared here. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 2, middle term, divided by 2 squared, 1 squared, 1. So that's a plus 1. And so this is a perfect square trinomial. That means that is x, half of plus 2 is a plus 1. So x plus 1 all squared is that trinomial. Take the negative 3 out. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is x squared. 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. And we take the negative 6 and divide by 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 squared, 9. So that's a plus 9. And that's the perfect square trinomial right there. And that is made up of x, half of negative 6 is a negative 3. And we have, it just finishes off. That's negative 3 times x minus 3 all squared will give you, be the perfect square trinomial that's representing this. You'll see this coming into play when I do it in the next video. Take the 1/6 out, and negative 1 divided by 1/6 is negative 1 times 6 over 1, so that's negative 6. So 1/6 times negative 6 is negative 1. So what I did, I took this number and divided by 6 to get what should go here. And a half, now we take the negative 6 divided by 2 and squared. Negative 3 squared is the 9. So that's a plus 9. So that's a perfect square trinomial. So it's an x. Half of negative 6 is a negative 3. So x minus 3 squared gives you this trinomial. And we have a negative 2, which is the GCF in these two. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is x squared. Negative 16 divided by negative 2 is a plus 8. And 8 divided by 2 squared is 4 squared, 16. So I have a 16. That's a perfect square trinomial whose factorization is x. Half of plus 8 is a plus 4. So x plus 4 squared will give you that trinomial. And that's a little bit of practice on completing the square before we do the next video. As I said, I do try to do one step at a time. Don't want to do too many steps into one problem. If you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell, and visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content that's in my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.